Hi, I'm Liz Camaur from Camaur Crampton Family Law. Today I'm going to talk to you about tips you should consider during a family law case. Tip number one, make sure you change your passwords. In today's world, people communicate mostly through email, text messages, and social media. Many times in court, I have seen people's text messages, their Facebook posts, used as evidence against them. You need to protect the communications, not only that you put out there, but also specifically the communications you have with your lawyer and others. You need to do this by changing all of your passwords and also your iCloud account or your Apple account. Make sure that all of that is switched. In addition, something you may not think about, you need to change your security questions and the answers. Many times, if you've known somebody for years, they can predict the answers to typical questions. For example, what's your mother's maiden name? If the other side knows that, they can probably get into your account. So be sure that you change all of your security questions and answers in these types of accounts. Tip number two. Don't take legal advice from the other side. In most cases, the person on the other side is either trying to provoke a negative emotional response or manipulate the way you view the case. If the other side says, "You're not going to get anything," or "You'll never see the children again," that doesn't mean it's true. That person may be just trying to create insecurity in you to manipulate what they want. You are probably in a very vulnerable emotional state. So make sure that you get legal advice from a qualified family law attorney before just taking this advice from the other side. Tip number three, don't sign or agree to anything until you know what you're entitled to. You need to talk to a qualified family law attorney before you start making agreements. Your signature could have significant legal ramifications, and entering into an agreement without consulting an attorney can cause bigger problems later. Tip number four, if you have the slightest thought that you may be heading into a custody case, stop using any illicit drugs and stop any excessive use of alcohol. Any use of illicit drugs or excessive use of alcohol is sure to be exploited by the other party in court. Don't give the other side ammunition in your case. Tip number five, don't give cash for support payments. You need to make sure that you have a written record and documented evidence of all of the support you paid. Many times in court, there are controversies going back and forth as to how much support was paid. If you don't have written documented evidence of the support you paid, it's very likely you will not be given credit for it. So if you write a check, make sure that in the memo you write what kind of support it is, whether it's child support, spousal support, or both. If you have to give cash, for example, in an emergency, make sure you have the other side sign something in writing saying that they received X amount of dollars and that it is to be applied for support. Don't give money without some sort of documented evidence of it. Tip number six, don't get involved in useless emotional arguments with the other side or with people close to the other side. You don't want your words used against you in court. It's not productive. And many of these heated exchanges can lead to domestic violence or even allegations of domestic violence. It's best to always say less and walk away from the confrontations. Tip number seven, don't text message or email anything that you wouldn't want the judge to read. Text messages and emails are pretty easy to admit into evidence. So make sure you put a passcode on your phone and computer so that nobody but you can send an email or text message from your device. And don't let your new significant other send a text message from your phone to the person who is your ex. Those two can come up and it can be accused that you are the one who sent it. Tip number 8. You should always be aware of any pictures or videos that your friends or family may be posting on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or other social media. You don't want anything uploaded onto the web that could be damaging to you during a custody battle. Family and friends should be understanding that it may be damaging to you during a custody case and the plight that could follow. If there is anything uploaded that could be embarrassing, now would be a good time to take it down. Also, make sure that you unfriend the other side that you're litigating with. This will help limit any future embarrassing pictures or stories getting into court. Tip number 9. If anything financial is involved in your case, you need to start collecting information about your finances, the finances of the other side, and the joint finances you might have together. Do that sooner rather than later. You need to know how much money you have, where it comes from, and where it goes. Gather documents, download statements, obtain copies of your tax returns, and make sure that you have records of anything significant in your finances. Tip number 10. Now's a great time to look for important documents and make sure that you have copies of them. Some documents, such as passports, birth certificates, and other original documents, should be uploaded into the cloud. So make sure that you make digital copies of them and upload them. A lot of times during these cases, those types of documents can disappear. You want to make sure sooner rather than later that you have them secured. Tip number 11. Secure personal property items that you don't want to disappear. Don't take the other side's property, and be careful around community property. But if your own personal effects include memorabilia, jewelry, old photos, videotapes, things like that, you want to make sure these sentimental things are secured. That doesn't necessarily mean they'll be completely allocated to you, but you want to make sure that you know where they are and that they're safe so that they don't disappear during the case. Tip number 12, make a list of your goals. What is the result you want out of your family law case? What do you want in terms of custody with the children? What do you want in terms of support? What do you want in terms of property? This can be the roadmap for you and your attorney. This list is something that you should walk into at your first meeting with your lawyer. Now, this isn't necessarily set in stone. After you get advice and both sides get information, it can be modified. But knowing what you want is excellent for the attorney to develop a strategy and tactics for you to get there. Tip number 13, consult an experienced family law attorney at the very beginning. So many mistakes are made that have serious, long-lasting, and costly ramifications by people who don't seek legal counsel. You do not want to navigate the complexities of a family law case without representation. So much is at stake. Family law cases usually involve your highest priorities in life, and the expense to clean up mistakes is so much more costly than handling your family law case correctly from the beginning. If you need help with a family law issue, you can contact us here at Camaur Crampton Family Law. Our office number is 949-234-8280, or visit our website at www.divorce.legal. There's no .com, it's divorce.legal. And remember, when facing a family law crisis, having the right attorney makes the difference.